How great would it be to get up close and personal with the beauty industry heroes we love and admire, and to ask them, how did you learn to do what you do? I'm Chris Baran, a hairstylist and educator for 40 plus years, and I'm inviting all our heroes to chat and share the secrets of their success. Welcome to another episode of Headcases, and today's a pretty cool guest because she is the executive director for Professional Beauty Association, you know it as the PBA, and Leslie Perry is a licensed esthetician and makeup artist, and prior to her role at PBA, Leslie owned a cosmetic and skincare business in Michigan, and she spent 15 years working in corporate communications and community relationships for various organizations in health and wellness industry, including the YMCA. Leslie has a bachelor's degree in journalism from Michigan State University and a master's degree from Saginaw Valley State University. So let's get into this week's head case, Leslie Perry. Leslie, it is such a pleasure and honor to have you on here. And I just have to say welcome to Head Cases, and I'm excited about this.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I'm equally excited.
Yeah, because I think the last time we were at a gig together was for High Performance.
Yes,
and we were while we were Zooming, but I have to say that's when we saw you there and we listened to you talk to the people, and we just said we have to have you on Head Cases because you've got so much to offer. And by the way, you're a damn good speaker. I got to say that.
Thank you. Oh my goodness, thank you. I appreciate that.
So we always start off and we always want to know that, and because people that don't know, I talked about who you were in the introduction, et cetera, but people always want to see where they are in the hair industry. Were they a hairdresser? Were they into it? How did they get involvement? With your involvement with the PBA, so give us a little bit of your hair story and how you got into the industry.
I was born into it, Chris, literally. So like my mom, yes, my mom was a hairdresser. She was a salon owner for about 35 years. So I grew up in the industry watching my mom do hair. She had the kitchen salon for a time, and then did purchase a salon and owned a salon. So I worked in the salon. I swept a lot of hair. I folded a lot of towels, sorted a lot of perm rods. That was back in the early 90s. And yes. I knew how to sort those perm rods and took care of a lot of retail. And then my sister ended up becoming a hairdresser as well. She's still a hairdresser in Michigan. I have several aunts and cousins who are still in the industry. And then myself went a different route, thought that I was supposed to go to college, get a degree, work in corporate America. I did that and felt a little bit of my life getting sucked out of me every day in that environment sometimes, and always felt this pull back to the family business, which was beauty. And so in my 30s, actually, I made the decision to do an apprenticeship at a salon and got my license in aesthetics, started a skincare and makeup business. And I did that for about 10 years in Michigan and worked on brides just about every weekend for a good period of time and loved every minute of it. And then that all led me to the Professional Beauty Association.
Well, wow! I think
eventually.
that was the tightest one. I think of all the people that were on here. That usually by this time we're halfway through. But I have to ask you this: in your bridal consulting business and doing a lot of brides, did you ever have a lot of bridezillas that were on there?
I honestly did not have bridezillas. Wow. I did not have bridezillas. I will tell you what I found, and I worked alongside my sister, so she did hair, I did makeup. What we found is that a lot of times it wasn't the bride, but there was someone else in the bridal party who was the Zilla factor, whether it was a bridesmaid, a sister of the groom, a mother of the bride, someone. There was always one person in the party that gave you just a little bit extra, let's say.
Yeah. The grief level got turned up.
The grief level got turned up. And
just a little bit.
When you're working with your sister, this really cool thing happens where you can speak to each other with just eye contact. Mm-hmm. And so when we found that person who was in our chair, we just made the right eye contact with each other. So we knew then, hey, this is the one. Yeah. Just be prepared and give a little extra customer service patience when you have that person in your chair.
Older or younger sister?
She's younger. I'm the
Younger.
oldest. We have a brother in between us. He did not go into beauty.
He did not go into
He did
beauty, but
not go into beauty.
but did he bully you too while you guys were growing up, or was he the
He
savior for you, or
did.
both?
He both. It's interesting. My brother and sister and I are very close, especially as adults. But growing up, like any siblings, we had our fair share of fights and squabbles. And I'm the oldest, so I wanted to get my way. And I was the built-in babysitter, having to take care of these two kids that were driving me crazy at times. So
and never got paid.
Never got paid. It was just expected. Yeah.
So tell us, how did the PBA gig come around? Like what happened in there? I'm curious.
Yeah, how did I get from here to here?
That's a pretty big.
It's a big leap.
Yeah.
And
well, I didn't mean
leap.
it as a leap, but that's a big
Yeah,
job. There's a lot of elements in it. So how did that happen? What was the transition like, and where did it come from?
When I had my business, I grew up in Michigan, so lived there most of my life. And I was a PBA member, and I became an advocate for the state of Michigan when I had my business. So I was involved in the government affairs side and helped with legislation and took action when there was legislation happening in the state of Michigan. Then fast forward to about 7 years ago, and my husband and I felt this calling to move. And we had lived, both of us are from Michigan, had lived there our entire lives, felt a calling to move across the country to the Southwest, where the sun shines almost every day. So we now live in Phoenix, Arizona. And lo and behold, yes, you also are you are here in the Southwest. And the Professional Beauty Association headquarters is in Scottsdale. And so I had been living here for about not quite a year, and a job opportunity came up, and I thought that would be perfect for me. So I applied for the position, and then ultimately didn't get that role that I applied for. But at the same time, the education manager role became available, and they decided I was the right fit for that role. And the rest is history. I've been here ever since. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So, on that, I can't even imagine. Well, first of all, I can't imagine. I've been involved in corporate life before, and it's a different animal.
It is.
Than behind chair, and everybody's kind of and I don't want this to come out wrong, but I think when you're in a salon and everybody's friends sometimes, and it's a pretty good vibe. Everybody's creative, everybody's cool with our whole job is about being creative, and things shift, and sometimes in corporate that doesn't happen all the time. We have some people that want it and some people don't. But what was the what was it like getting into it? What was it like? Maybe tell us give us the idea on the role. What does the role entail?
At PBA?
Yeah, at PBA, your role within them.
So my role now is executive director. And so getting into this side of it is a great blend of pulling on the skills that I learned while I was in corporate America, but also pulling on the experiences I've had as a licensed professional, as a business owner, and pulling from the experiences that my mom had as a salon owner. So it really is like at PBA, we have several of us who are licensed, who have been either hairdressers or estheticians. Some still do that occasionally on the side or handle clients on weekends or weddings, that kind of thing. So it pulls, like working for PBA is like this really beautiful blend of using some of the skills that you might need in a corporate America kind of role, but really a twist on it. It's more creative still. It's more comfortable. It does feel like working for PBA for me feels more like a salon environment where you come in and we all talk to each other. We all know more about each other's families. I hate saying that it's like, oh, it's my work family, but it really is like a work family where we deeply care for one another and we deeply care for all of the professionals who work in the industry. And so it's a beautiful blend of using skills that you have in your right brain, your left brain, and putting it all together.
And I think that, first of all, for everything that you and PBA do. I just want to say thank you because, I can remember, in Canada, when I came from Canada, and I remember moving from central Canada to the coast. And I was like that. I'd always been the creative part, but I had never really had the inkling to get involved with any groups. I just found sometimes that they just got a little too stuffy for me. And I found that going to some of the meetings, et cetera, that they're not that at all. So what but here's the reason why I'm bringing up this questions is that the people listening or watching right now, they may or may not, I'm sure they've heard of PBA. They're associated, they know what is, that it's involved all the way, and they're probably getting, I know if you're getting members, you're getting emails from them, et cetera. But like, if somebody didn't know and doesn't know what PBA is, give us a broad scope of what's the app. I'm trying to picture it as if it was, how you see that org chart and there's bubbles around them. What in a nutshell are in those bubbles?
So we exist truly to keep professional beauty professional. And that means not just the licensing that we've all fought hard for and worked really hard to get a license in the profession that we choose to be in, but also from an education perspective, a resource perspective, helping others outside of our industry, consumers, government, legislators understand the true power that is within professional beauty and the economic powerhouse that we really are. So that's why we exist. And you talk about those buckets within that, keeping professional. We have the arm of government affairs, which sounds big and scary, but really we have a team that works with every state, with the federal government, to make sure that legislation that's introduced benefits us as an industry and benefits us as the professionals working in the industry, and then fights against legislation that might be introduced to deregulate, for example, or things that are, cumbersome to us or don't make sense for the industry. So we have that arm. We have a whole charitable arm. So we have, this year, beginning of the year, the fires in California, our disaster relief fund was, very visible because we raise money. Thank you to all the brand partners and individuals who donate, so that we can then give that money back out to professionals who've been affected, who lost everything in a disaster, whether the fires, hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, you name it. So we're there for that. And then we have a whole education side and resources and things.
Can I just pause you there for just 1 second? Because I heard this, and I don't know if it came back to you, and quite frankly, I can't remember where this came from. But this is why I think that the charitable work that you guys do is so important, because I wish I could remember the person's name, and they told me that somebody, and I believe it was during the floods, and that they couldn't get enough help right away from FEMA, but they did get help from PBA. And I thought that was that tugged on my heartstrings just a little bit, when we know, and I'm not saying anything against FEMA, because I'm sure they've got their hands filled with everything. But when people have a second source that they can do I'm sure we can't give them through PBA what FEMA can give them in hundreds of $1,000s for a house, but we can help them just in emergency stuff, so they can eat and have a place to go and so on. And I don't know if you knew that, and I thought it'd be something that would be, pleasant to hear for you.
It is pleasant to hear. And I heard that also during the California fires. I had an opportunity to go to California and meet some of those salon owners and stylists who benefited from the disaster relief fund. And some of them were saying FEMA didn't come through, so they're living with family or friends, but PBA was able to support them with even $1,000, right, to buy food, to pay for shelter if you needed it, whatever you just need in that moment to get you through. We were able to do that. And we have an incredible team. You would think we had, dozens of people behind the scenes that run that. We have 3 that are able to, when that goes into action, they just have everything down to such an incredible science, essentially, of getting that money out quickly, because they know how much it matters to get money in the hands of those who need it quickly and not have as much red tape. Because we don't have to. So exactly.
And I just look at, for people listening and watching right now, this isn't meant to be huge plugs, and this isn't about all of that, but this is just coming from me, just off the top of my head right now, how important this is. And if it happened to us, like if we had the disaster happening to us, and I know that we're in a hard time right now with, people are sometimes themselves being able, listen, it's hard getting from month to month, but anything that we can do, like dollars, even individual dollars, help, so anything that we can all do to help with all of our fellow hairdressers and contribute to PBA and their disaster relief, I think is really, really important. So I cut you off before.
Thank you. That's okay.
But we just kind of wrapped up on the charitable side.
Yes. And so another side is resources and education and things that help you run your business. So I like to think of us as like your best friend, the person that when you need advice or you don't know where to turn or you have questions and are afraid to ask someone else, that's who we are. And step into that role of helping you make your business more effective and doing the homework for you so you don't have to. Because my guess is most of us that go into this, whether if you're a hairdresser or a makeup artist, an esthetician, barber, nails, you go in because you love to help people feel good and you love the creative nature of it. You don't go into it because you want to run the business and worry about how to file taxes, where to get insurance, all of those questions. So we've done all of that homework for you. And an arm of what we do is having resource providers for you that we've vetted, that we trust, that you can trust too, that we know take care of beauty professionals in particular and make sure that they understand the business of beauty and not just business in general. And then we have our events, which I know and I see in the background, a North American Hairstyling Award sitting there. But NAHA is one of our exclusive events that we do every year, celebrates just the incredible artistry that exists in our industry and the inspiration behind it. So we love that. And that's coming up in June every year. We have
last year, it sold out.
It did for the first time ever. And it was so, it was a great thing and also like a really stressful thing because then there's people, of course, who waited and they want tickets and can't get them and can't understand. You mean I can't come to NAHA? I've always come to NAHA. And so that was the hard part. So this year we are telling everyone, please get your tickets.
Get them in advance.
Get them in advance. We really want to share, we want to have a full house again. And we want everyone who wants to be there to have that opportunity to be there and cheer on your friends and see. I mean, some of the incredible artistry is my gosh.
It's
where these ideas come from, Chris. I'm always amazed every year where I think, oh, it can't get better. It can't. And it just continues to blow my mind with some of the work.
And, and what I love about NAHA is that you have the full gambit. Because I know people that what they do all the time and they specialize in commercial hair, like runway hair, that things that you want every day in the salon. And it's just pushed the notch and the color is pushed, the styling is pushed. Excuse me. And it's so beautiful. But they also allow us creative nerds that really want to go way off in left field and real create avant-garde stuff. And I know that's my, if I probably would be in therapy for something else if I didn't have that, but I'd be in an underwater spoon bending thing that my psychiatrist would put me into. But I find that when you can take hair in any direction and sometimes you might have, I know some of the pieces that I've worked on have taken weeks or months to make, but it's just a source of an outlet, in just like painting or anything else, except you're using our sources as opposed to a different medium like paint. So I just, you guys have and always been adding on everything to it. So thank you for that.
One of my favorite things that we added last year, as you're talking about where you get your inspiration, is for the Hairstylist of the Year category. We invite each of them on stage during the show before we award that category for them to talk a little bit about where the inspiration came from. Like how did I create these 5 images and why these 5 and what went into the creation of this particular collection. And it is such an incredible part of the story and of really understanding what someone was going through and why they created the collection. And it's not just, it goes so deep then, right? That's where the artistry to me really comes alive, where it's, yes, they're beautiful images and it's amazing and creative, but it's so much deeper than that. And that's what we get to celebrate with NAHA.
Yeah. And I think if there's, I don't care if you're listening right now, if you've only been in the business for a year, is just to do something. I mean, I think I had entered Lord knows how many times before, and I had the great, before there was NAHA in Canada, where there was Canadian Awards started, and that sort of was the groundwork for a lot of us as Canadians to get into that field. But here's what why I am saying that is, yes, there is, everybody can get into social media and you can be, good at what you do right now. But if you really want to make your mark on the world of hairdressing so that the people in the business really know who you are, see your creativity, and applaud you, I'd highly suggest everybody that's out there just, get a mentor, somebody who's been there with NAHA before, pick their brain, and just like anything, there's the term fail is just first attempt in learning. And remember that the first time you do it, you may not win, but you're going to learn from it. And the reason why I want to get to this, it will truly make your career. I know for me, when and it was obviously very different when I started, but the fact of how everybody in the industry knows you, not just the consumer, but everybody in the industry knows you and knows who you are. And NAHA is an incredible place to do it. And here's even the kicker. Even if you don't win, it really is a part to really understanding your creativity. And it's amazing what it can do for you. And I just have to say this: you don't win all the time. I mean, I have to say, my name is Susan Lucci. I'm the Susan Lucci of.
I've heard this many times recently from people.
yeah, is that I've lost so many more times than I've won, but you just got to keep going. It's just like the Academy Awards, anything else. The heavy hitters don't win all the time, So I just encourage people to get involved.
Yeah. Thank you. I do too. And for me, one of my favorite categories is the student category for that reason, where you get to see this incredible work that students are able to perform and then watch them as their career progresses and what they, where they end up going on in the industry or working with brands or doing their own things, starting their own companies. And it's been really, really rewarding to see those students from when they win and just what they're able to accomplish in the industry.
Well, I mean, let's face it. And I'm going to spout, and people are going to be going, "Oh, here goes Chris one more time." But and I have to say, and it pisses me off how sometimes Hollywood and media in general looks at hairdressing. When like I'll say this: I'll bet you there's more six-figure earners in hairdressing than there is anywhere else. And it just really makes me angry how they just try to portray us as dumb or freaky. And okay, yeah, but maybe we got a couple different colors in our hair because that's our vibe. That's what we do. That's the industry that we have. It's no different than somebody that's in the fashion industry wearing an avant-garde outfit. We wear avant-garde hair. That's what we do. But I think the more that we can do in our industry to help to elevate the image of what we are and who we are. So when we go to one of my business partners is Chris Moody, and I'm not sure if you know Chris. That's Steven's brother. And we do a training program together. And when we talk to the people that are in our programs, the first thing that Chris always says is, "I want to elevate our industry so that not only when meaning Mr. Moody, go to a cocktail party, but anybody goes to a cocktail party and there's lawyers and doctors and et cetera, there, that we're held in the same regard, not only for what we do in earning, but what we do and the changes that we do on their wives and the people around them."
I agree wholeheartedly. I have said the same thing for years because of watching my mom and growing up with my mom and seeing how she even looked down on herself.
Yeah.
And I just told a story where she was an entrepreneur and a business owner and a successful one at that, and employed 12 to 15 stylist at any given time in her salon. And yet when she would introduce herself, she would say, I'm just a hairdresser.
Yeah.
Oh, I was too dumb to go to college. So I just went, I just went to beauty school. And when I think of the work that she was doing or that my sister does, when having to know chemistry and the formulas and helping people, and it's like, even within our industry, we have to change the perception of who we are and what we've chosen as a true profession. And completely agree that what drives me at PBA is I want that same future where when someone comes home and a kid comes home and says, I want to go to cosmetology school, the parents are excited, just like they would be if the kid came home and said, I'm going to go to medical school, I'm going to be a lawyer, I'm going to be whatever. Like, why can't we revere this profession as a true profession like it is? Because those of us in it know how incredible it is and what it can do for your whole life, your family, how it can support just an incredible life. Because it's really it's an endless it's a license to create, right? Like it really is this just an incredible journey that you can lead, whether you stay in the creative side, you go into the business side. I mean, there's so many, it really is endless.
Yeah. And you said the word perception was just, it's like, I'm looking at the word right above your head. It says mindset. I'm so happy to see that on there that, it's like, and we just finished our convention with Spec in California just this last weekend. And it was interesting how when L'Oreal came on stage, they're one of our sponsors that are there. And so when they came on stage, they showed a video of all the different people of all different, so they had artistic directors, they had people that were traveled the world as influencers, as you name it, every kind, even everything from just a six-figure earner still at the chair to educators to people that run and they do Fashion Week and the amount that people can get and I have to say I'm really, really excited about it is that my son Lee was the one that produced the video, and you met him just a bit before, and that the work that once the people in school, once the parents in school come and see that video, and that's what L'Oreal created it for, was so that when a parent comes in, and we all know that they've got that. Oh well, this is just even the term.
It's a hobby. It's a side thing.
Yeah,
it's something to get you through till you get a real job.
Yeah, or get married or whatever. But the idea is when they see what the potential that people have, and then there's the flip side of that, which I always talk about when everybody asks me how much money can you earn in the beauty industry. I always, and this is the line that I use because it's true. Exactly what you're going to earn, exactly what you put into it, and you go into it hardcore. And I'll show people my I can't remember in Canada what's a PBA. PBA, a WD-40 or
here it's a W-2.
W-2s,
if you're an employee, or your tax return, or
exactly.
your
Show that to them. Just show that this is an amazing industry. So. Let's kind of shift tunes a little bit about what's the background? Like, where did PBA start? We know what it does now. But where did it come from? How did it start? What happened there?
It started from several different organizations, and over time, those organizations realizing the power in coming together. So PBA has existed in its current form for about 20 years. But prior to that, there were 4 separate organizations. There was a manufacturing association, a distributor association, there was a cosmetology association, and a salon association. And so over time, they realized if we all come together, because we do have interests that are common, and if we can come together and align our interests, we're going to be stronger as an industry together. We were born out of separate entities that really saw the power of connection and collaboration. And being that as our foundation, that's how we operate today, and love collaborating with others in the industry and finding ways that, and I tell people, I know it sounds cliche or like I'm Pollyanna, but I mean, it really, we're better together. I firmly believe that. And in everything I've done in my life, it's because of being connected to others who help, and we can't do it alone. And so that's the same at PBA. We're better together.
Yep. Absolutely. I've always believed, I think that, I know personally, I work better on a collaboration than I do just trying to come up with my own ideas.
Hmm.
I want to just jump over to there is in I came from Canada, obviously, and Canada from province to province did not have reciprocity with their
Hmm.
licensure, and I know that there's talk of it, and I know that right
Hmm.
now I saw that there's some of the states that are actually combining, because it
Yes.
always got me when, if I'm in my state, my province, and I'm just right by the border, and I can do hair, I'm licensed to do hair, but if I step across that line, that people will say, no, 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 no,
No, you can't do
you don't know anything about how to do hair here. So, like, what can we do? What's the
Yeah.
plan?
So I agree. And I'm affected by that personally. When I moved from Michigan to Arizona, I have a license in those two states at this point. But we are working with other groups on something for license reciprocity, or it's called the State Cosmetology
Yeah,
Compact.
yeah,
And so what that is, um, working with states that come together to say, yes, we will be a part of this particular compact. And that means that we will recognize a license no matter which of these states you're operating. So, of course, the goal is to have all 50 states. So,
yeah.
no matter where you go, then in the US, you can operate and you don't have to worry about having a separate license for every state where you're working. And it's right now, it has the way the government works is you have to start with 7 states. We do have the 7 and more are being added to that. So, it looks very promising that we'll be able to start offering that reciprocity. And it was born out of actually the Defense Department and realizing that especially spouses of those who are in the armed
Oh, that
services
makes
move
sense.
frequently.
Yeah,
And why should the spouse have to, if they're a barber or a licensed professional of any type, how are
esthetician,
they
etc.
yeah,
Yeah,
how are they supposed to work when their spouse is now being transferred to a different base in a different state? And so the Defense Department has that set up for different types of professions and licenses, like the nursing association, for example. So that's where that was born out of, and we're working on putting together that compact, and so that you would only have to have this one license, and then you could operate in every state that becomes a part of that group.
I bet we have something in common. I have this love-hate relationship. I hate paying for something that I'm not using. I hate working in a small, cramped box. Yet, I love working in a cool salon that impresses my clients, and I love the culture and synergy of a team while enjoying the freedom of being my own boss. You too? What if all that was available to you at the salon you rent from? Meet Artist on Go, a game-changing way to rent salon space. With Artist on Go, you only pay for the time you're behind the chair. You can choose a salon that fits your vibe, location, and amenities. With Artist on Go, you're a part of a stylist community, not hustling alone. Plus, you get to enjoy perks like clean towels and back bar supplies. Check out Artist on Go, built for stylists serious about their clients and growing their brand without the hassles of managing a space. Here's the kicker. You can save more than 50% on your rent. To find out more, go to bit.ly/artistongocb. That's bit.ly/artistongocb. There's this whole thing on the FICA tax right now,
Yes,
could you just give us a little bit of
I can.
insight into that? And
We've been fighting that for a while. So what it is, as a salon owner who has employees, and my stylists are employees, this is not for rental salons. This is for employment-based salons only. If my stylist receives a tip, which most of us do, that tip, 100% of the tip is income that goes to the stylist. The salon owner takes none of the tip. All of that goes to the stylist. The way the tax code is written, however, the salon owner still is required to pay taxes on the money that was the tip, even though they aren't getting any of that tip money as revenue for the salon. So they're essentially paying taxes
Taxed twice.
on not anything that's revenue for
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
And then it's being taxed to the employee as well. So there's like all of these tax implications for it. The Restaurant Association in the 90s came up with an exemption for their industry so that servers, they keep 100% of their tips. The restaurant owner does not owe taxes on those tips. And so we have been fighting for that same exemption as the Restaurant Association, to just take off that burden from the salon owners in the US.
Yeah. So, and then is this something that only salon owners can make their voice heard about?
We will have anyone who wants to, help us submit information to your legislature. If you go to the government affairs side of advocacy portion of our website, we make it really easy. You put in your address, zip code, and it pops up who represents you in Congress and in the Senate. And then we also have, if you sign up to be an advocate on our behalf, you'll get the alerts right to your inbox or texted to your phone, and it's already pre-made out for you, and you just have to sign it and then send it off to your legislature for your support, and that all helps.
And for the people that are listening that are going, well, I'm
a renter.
I'm a stylist. I'm working for somebody. It really doesn't bother me, but listen, you may be an owner one day, and if we don't take care of this right now, that might affect you, and you have to pay double tax on and everything that we get as well. So this is something I think we have to rally the troops on.
Yeah. And you may be an owner someday, but even now, if you think of the money that your owner is spending on paying taxes to the government on income that isn't theirs, they could reinvest that in their salon and get you that new cool thing you wanted, or
the
invest it into education that you need to up level your skills. I mean, there's so many ways that salon owners have told us that they would be using that revenue in beneficial ways that make the industry better and stronger than paying taxes.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I know that I've heard, it's probably not true, but I've heard that there is some people that don't declare their tips. And, it's probably not true. It's not true.
Not true.
But I just heard it. But let's say that somebody was thinking about not declaring their tips.
Right.
I think that if people understand that that's the reason, part of the reason why stylists particularly can't get loans or let me rephrase that. That wasn't the right wording. Let me put that in a better sentence. Part of the reason why some can't get loans is because of the industry as a whole is seen as making less money than it does. And that affects everybody all the way down the line. And it affects every school, because if there's things that they think that right now the government only thinks that the average hairdresser only makes 27, I think it's 27.5 or some ridiculous number like that they make. And that's based on people that work maybe 3 hours a day or 3 days a week or things as such.
And actually report their income.
And for the other two people that aren't declaring their tips when they start. Okay. So, I think that what I loved about, remember Jason Everett was, and we were on his gig together. What I loved is he had this pact going around with hairdressers where they had their own code of honor. And on their code of honor is, I will pay my tax, and I will declare my tips, and I will pay my taxes, because we have to have people that will be out there that will start this ball rolling. So, because I'm looking at another word that you got, while it says too legit to quit, but we have
my 90s hip hop wall of inspiration absolutely. Here.
Yeah, I mean, and let's face it, our 80s years beat your 90s. So come on, our music, yeah, we were ruffians, but our music was great. Anyway.
I appreciate the 80s too.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I just think that I didn't want to turn this into a preaching session, but I think that there is so much on that licensure side that PBA does that I think really makes it. What are some of the biggest hurdles that are going on in our industry right now from your perspective?
Oh gosh. I mean, some of it right now is just the uncertainty of the economy and the tariff thing and like things that are beyond our control. But that's what we hear a lot right now is just that uncertainty of from businesses all the way down to licensed professionals and independents that are on their own, or like a softening of the economy where people aren't coming in as frequently to get their hair. What does that mean for my business? And so that's something big that that definitely is, just wears on the hearts and minds of the people in the industry. And then I think something else we see for PBA, because we're kind of, I look at us as the center of it and trying to pull everyone together, is sometimes we're all off doing our own thing and maybe we're not as aligned as we could be and should be together as an industry. And then it goes back to what we've just been talking about from like an advocacy side. If we can't align ourselves, then the legislature like that industry can't even agree on things together. Like, why should it be regulated? Like, just deregulate it. What's going on over there? So that's something that I'm taking a look at and with the collaborations we do, and how do we come together? And, we can agree. We're not going to agree on everything, but I think there's some core things that we can all agree upon and be aligned with as an industry together.
Yeah, and I think that the more that it's really, I think there's one simple word in there, that the more we have a community. I mean, I know I can remember when I was just a young pup in it, and I've been, well, what can I do? I can't do anything. Well, yeah, you can, and it's not maybe just you on your own, but it's getting affiliated with a community, and nothing more than just so that they know what everybody's needs and wants are, and then they go and advocate for you. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest thing, that I think the reason why we need community, we need associations that help to support us. Yeah.
No, I agree. Yeah. Can't disagree with that, Chris.
Well, yeah, I guess I'm preaching to the choir.
I mean, I'm a little biased.
Yeah. So let's talk about. I had the great pleasure of judging some of the Beacon students that applied for.
It's one of my favorite things to do.
Oh, well, tell us for people that don't know, and if there's schools that are listening, I want you to listen close to this. Yeah. But tell everybody a little bit about what Beacon is about.
Yeah, Beacon is our student program, and with Beacon, the students who are selected into the program focus on the business of beauty and really like how to build their careers. So a lot of the things that we've been talking about are things that we teach with Beacon. So Beacon is it's a program, you apply to be a part of it. So cosmetology students, barber students, aesthetics, makeup, nails, any area of the industry are eligible to apply each year. And then you submit this application, which we keep it relatively easy. You submit a video so that we get to know a little bit about you and why you chose beauty, why you want to be a part of Beacon. You submit a portfolio, and we help you do that with our great partner, Beautista. So that's all done online, and it's really easy to create this resume that you can use once you get out of school too. It's a great resource to have anyway, whether you make it into Beacon or not. A letter of recommendation. And then we ask you to submit social media. So we can see that you're starting to use social media, not just for personal, but for professional. So it's something you apply for. We like to keep it to an elite level, to the point of like applying for something you may or may not get in, but keeping it like very elevated to the students who we know that really have a passion and a desire to be a part of this. And then when selected, there's a 2.5-day program alongside Premier Orlando. So you get to be a part of the show experience. You get to go to NAHA, as we were talking about NAHA. And the coolest part is you get to learn from the industry's best and spend 2.5 days just immersed in inspiration, in all kinds of education, learning from people who have been there, who have made mistakes, who learn from their mistakes. People like Sam Villa, John Mosley, Chris, that you've been a part of it in the past, Ruth Roche. I mean, there's, Antoinette Beenders. Like, we just have some of the most incredible educators who come and pour into the students for those 2.5 days.
And Gino Stampura is always there.
And Gino Stampura, our facilitator, and Roderick Samuels. And I mean, I could go on and on with so many amazing people.
And you know what? In the judging, what struck me the most is I was thinking, What do they want? What does a student want when what they want to apply for it? But the biggest thing that everybody commented on was networking. And that just, when I first started in the industry,
I've never
I
thought
didn't
of that
even know
either.
what networking was. But all these kids, they wanted to network and they wanted to get in to meet people and to elevate their position. Sometimes, you can go into Beacon or those kind of programs. You go in one person and come out another.
Mm-hmm.
Simply but around, I just remember there, and the last time I was there, these kids, it's not, and I'm going to talk about, it's going to sound selfish, about to getting your picture taken with these kids.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what they want. They want, because that's part of
Mm-hmm.
their network, and they can
It
put it on their
is.
social media, and their clients see who they're hanging around with, and it's just, if you're hanging with a certain group of people, then you're going to live up to that. And so I think
Absolutely.
that's any kid that's listening out there right now, this is something that you can. How many, which rate me, how many people out of that, is it one person that got selected out of that? Was it?
So we have the class this year, we had about 170 students who were selected to be in the class.
Yeah.
So we keep it at that number. We find if we, of course, are always looking to grow it and looking for ways that we can grow it. But when it gets too big, sometimes it's like the students get nervous to ask questions, or they don't have the same interaction opportunities that they would when the group is like that kind of sweet spot of a size. So we're looking at ways that we can expand it and maybe offer it at different locations throughout the country at different times of the year, so that more students can get exposed to it. Because it really, the thing that I hear from students the most from that program is it was life-changing. And like a couple of years later, when we get the success stories from some of the graduates and seeing what they're doing, and some are, just the businesses that they've built and their entrepreneurial journey and where they've gone from being at Beacon, and some are now salon owners, some work for brands, some have their own suite, but they're doing, like specialized. One specialized and started doing wig making. And it's just the opportunities, they really start to believe in themselves and see that this is possible for me. And when I see someone up on stage who was like me or has a similar story to me, and they make themselves accessible and talk to me during the breaks, and I have this opportunity to learn and grow, it becomes very real and not just textbook.
What is there any heartfelt moments that you either that happened there or after, etc., things that really struck you?
Gosh, there are several. One I can think of right now is a young woman who, when she came to Beacon, and it's like, you don't know the personal stories always of like what was going on in someone's life when they came to Beacon. And she came to Beacon, and apparently she didn't have a lot of money. She was in a tough situation, bad relationship, has a child, single mom situation, and started dancing at a place. We'll just say that, because she needed to make money and she needed to take care of her family. And she came to Beacon and didn't know how she was going to pay for anything, didn't know how she was going to pay to get there, but made it to Beacon. And a year later, fast forward, and she graduated school, has a job. She's not dancing anymore. She has a great job in cosmetology. And it was, it's not all because of Beacon. It's what she put into it too. But Beacon, she told, like, being at Beacon made her realize, I can't give up, because I'm not going to give up on school just because of what happened. And then another individual I can think of, he was at Beacon, graduated in 2023, and didn't really know what he wanted to do, and then met Michael DeVellis, who's one of our presenters. He's the founder of the Powder Group, which is a makeup community. And he always gives everyone the offer at Beacon, reach out to me, contact me. I'm happy to help you, truly. And a very small number, actually follow up with that, right? And so this individual did. He now works for Michael at different shows across the country, works the booth, helps with education, got connected to more people, then ended up buying a salon. Now he employs stylists. He's, bringing in all kinds of new lines and education to his salon. And he's been a part of Beacon and continues to help us with Beacon and give back to Beacon because of everything. He credits a lot of the success he's had in just a few years to Beacon. So.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
what makes you feel
phenomenal.
really good. And then I
Yeah.
have to reread those on Monday night after
Yeah.
3 days of being so tired and so like on
Yeah.
your feet the whole time.
Your feet are
You have
swollen.
you
Yeah,
have to you have to read those and remind yourself why you're doing this. But
we call that symposium feet.
you
Standing on.
can't get your shoes on.
No, no, you just
You
can't take
can't
them
take them
off.
off.
Yeah, because they won't go back on. Oh, that is amazing. So,
The true story. The shoes,
yeah,
leave them on.
but there is a way we can help everybody. I remember sometimes we can feel that you just can't do something to help someone because of whatever limitations. And I remember being at a salon down in the South, and the salon owner said to me, Chris, well, she calls me that because that's what my name is. And she said, otherwise I wouldn't have answered, but she said, Chris, I've got a young girl that works for me, and she helps out and does shampoos, etc. But she's blind, and she wants to know if it's okay if she takes the class. And I said, hell yeah. So she came into the class. We had somebody that, like, as I was teaching haircutting, and we had one person that was designed that sat with her and could help to guide her. And, at the end of it, we got pictures of her holding her mannequin up, and she did an amazing job on it. And so I think that from both sides, not only just people that are kids just starting out and making sure to stay to it, but the people that are teaching as well, is don't limit what you're teaching to anybody because they might be, if they can't see or can't hear or can't do whatever. If you do the same thing, they can. I think that blew me away. And if anything, I was probably one of the more prouder moments that I had than all of the other people put together, was that kid really made a difference. And I just thought that was on that same genre. That's when I got a down day. That's some of the stuff that I talk about, and it makes me feel good. So.
No, I love that, and it's a reminder too to not put ourselves in a box, or don't put others in some predetermined box because of a judgment that we might make or something that we might think by looking at them or not understanding their story either. And I've done that a lot in my life and in my career for myself, right? You prejudge and make up all of these ideas in your head about something, and then you find that you meet the person or like start and you're like, wow, I was so wrong. Like, why did I have this predetermined idea of what this was going to be? And I need to like let those walls down sometimes.
Yeah, I know. I can tell judgmental people just by looking at them. Leslie, what pushes you?
Gosh.
What makes you get up in the day and do that? Because it can't always be easy.
It's not. Honestly, it's the deeper belief that this industry deserves the respect. It goes back to what you said earlier, and it goes back to my mom and my childhood and my sister, and how they feel about themselves just had such an impression on me. Or how my mom, when I went to college and got a degree and was doing the corporate thing, and was so proud of that and thought that was like a better choice than the choice that she had made. And even told me after I decided to get my aesthetics license and start my business. And she said, you have a master's degree and all you want to do is makeup, and so she laughs about that. We laugh about that now. But it does. It just, that really just had such an impression on me that it is really what drives me, and just loving the people in this industry, loving the work that we get to do. It really, I've said this before, it's not a job for me. It really is my life, because I lived it. I still live it. And it's something I just love to do. I don't feel like, even on the hard days, I don't feel like I'm going to work or doing a job. It's more of, is again, another thing that people might say, it's more of a calling. And I feel like for some reason I was called to do this and to be able to make this industry better in some small way. And that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah. Well, I know that you've been making it in a very big way and making a change. So thank you. If there's a life lesson that, because there's, we've got some young kids that are out there and they're just either they're in school or they're just getting out, or they're just starting their path. And as we all know, when you correct a mistake or a thing that you've learned in our business, the universe rewards you with even a bigger burden problem that they're going to throw at you. But if there's a life lesson that you could share with the people that are listening that made you who you are today, what would that be?
I got advice from a mentor of mine, and it took me years to understand what it meant. And he wouldn't tell me. And it always frustrated. I'm like, just tell me what it means. I want to understand. Just tell me why. And he told me years ago, he said, don't be afraid of your life. And I couldn't understand for the life of what does that mean? Well, I had to live my life to understand what that meant. And for me, what it means, I won't be like him. I will tell you what it means to me. But for me, what it meant is go the path that you know is right for you, regardless of what others are saying. Because for the bulk of the first part of my career, I did what was safe. I did what I was supposed to do. I did what I should do. I listened to everybody's other advice and did things that, like, in my gut didn't feel good, but other people said I should do it. And then when I finally stopped and got my license in aesthetics and quit my job that had a salary and benefits and health insurance and all the things to do my own thing and not know from week to week if I'd have even enough money to pay my bills, that's when things started to click in life. And even though I do also say I was the worst boss ever for myself. Like, working for myself wasn't always the best thing for me. But in many ways that I had to have those experiences because it helped me let go of some of the should do this and why aren't you doing that? And you have to, like, let yourself live the path that is your path and not everyone else's, and not get distracted by what other people tell you you should do.
Yeah. Great words.
But it's
Great
hard.
words. Yeah. No, I get it. Because also life happens in moments, and life happens in years. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's each one of them is going to give you a lesson. So that's, I know after me, because I'm going to be 49 this year. So you didn't even laugh out loud on that one.
I'm laughing because I'm going to be 29 this year. So.
Yeah, well, there you go. So, I mean, there we go. We're both liars.
We don't look a day older than any age we've ever said.
Yep. Well, listen, it's time for rapid fire.
Okay, and I'm excited about this.
Yeah, it's just quick answers. First thing that comes to your brain.
This is like a game show round.
It is like a game show.
I'm ready.
It's like what do they say? Where something happens and the points don't matter. Okay, what in the creative process? So there's creativity that happens when we do hair, in business, etc. But what turns you on in the creative process?
For me, it's quieting all the noise. So I have to get out, either if it's walking, if it's a workout, it has to be away from all the other noise where I can just let my mind wander. And I come up with a lot of ideas when I'm either at the gym or out for a walk, or especially hiking here in nature. Like, all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm. That javelina gave me all sorts of inspiration.
How to run fast.
And what stifles the creative process?
The stress of the noise and all of the other, and when you look at the calendar or all the things that you have to do, like, I find if I can just quiet that out, but that gets hard to do too when you look at all the I have to do's, instead of, okay, let that just go aside for a while and value. Something I've learned in my career, the older I'm getting, is valuing the space between. So I'm very much an achiever, and I like to do things and I like to accomplish things. And I have learned that it's not all about that. It's about the space between, because that's when I can truly be creative.
Ooh, I'm going to write that down. The space between.
The space between.
That's awesome. The space between. Now, what in life, what do you love the most?
I mean, Lisa, the first thing that pops in your head, I love my family the most. They're the most important.
Bingo. And in life, what do you dislike the most?
Hustle.
I'm with you. In the industry, what do you love the most?
The people.
And what do you dislike the most?
The negative comparisons that people drive themselves to.
Person that you admire the most?
Oh my gosh, the person I admire the most. I'm going to go with my family. So both of my grandmas, if I could, because they both came up at a time when women weren't supposed to have big jobs and weren't supposed to be leaders. And both of them were in their own right and taught me so many things about being a strong woman and being a strong leader. I'm going to cry.
God bless Grams. Yeah. Your most prized possession?
This is so crazy. I'm not a possession person. Oh gosh, a prized possession. I really don't. Like, I could run, my house could go on fire right now and I wouldn't grab a thing.
Okay. Well, I love that. That'll work.
I would just walk out myself and say
I just make my computers like that's. I've always said
nothing.
that.
I'm not taking a thing. I'm just getting out. Like,
I just want my pictures. I just want the pictures. That's it. I mean, I've got them in the cloud, so I don't have to worry.
Yes, I have a lot of them in the cloud now. So I'm gonna say my husband's gonna see this. He's gonna be like,
whatevs. Yeah. And just tell him he's not a possession. So
he's not a possession. I'd get him out.
Yeah. A person you wish you could meet.
Audrey Hepburn just popped into my brain.
That's a first.
Yeah.
That's a first. That's amazing.
Just seeing, I loved her movies. And I love also, I'm obviously big on strong females and some of the things that she did again at her time and just classy. I love the strength in class.
The strange little vibe, I mean, you've almost got her little fringe going on there. And, you just need the long cigarette holder.
And a tiara, because I love it. I love a good tiara.
Chocolate cigarettes.
Yes, chocolate cigarette.
Yeah. Something that people don't know about you.
Ooh, something that people don't know about me. Well, a lot of people in the industry don't necessarily know that I competed in pageants coming up, and I was a singer for my talent. I'm not going to sing right now, though. But
I'm not singing.
I'm not singing right now. But
that's awesome. A month off. Here, snap my fingers. You got a month off. Where would you go? What would you do?
I want to go to Australia and New Zealand, and I just want to experience that slower pace. And apparently New Zealand, people joke with me when I say I want to go to New Zealand, that there's more animals than people. I'm like, great. It could use. And my favorite Sauvignon Blanc, it has to be from New Zealand. I love the grapefruit crisp.
Yeah. Well, Lee, our producer, is probably salivating on that one right now. So
I'm going to chill one in the fridge now that I'm talking about it.
Yeah. Well, it's late enough. We could have had that on here with us.
You know what? Next time,
I'm not drinking adverse while this is going on. Sometimes the interview is even better.
They can be better. My answers might be different.
Well, there's that. A thing that terrifies you.
Losing the people I love before they lose me.
Oh yeah. Favorite curse word?
I just love a good F-bomb.
Yeah, there you go.
We talked about, it's an adjective, it's a verb, it's a noun, a pronoun, an adverb, it's all the things. And sometimes there's nothing works other than that.
Yeah. Word. And sometimes it can be hyphenated.
It can be hyphenated. I do hyphenate it. I have a lot of variations of the word.
Yes. Your favorite comfort food?
It's something that my mom made. It's a family recipe. It's called Bill Min. It is basically a homemade egg noodle, and you roll it out like almost like a pierogi, but it's thicker. And then the middle is like a meatball kind of thing. And you wrap it together, and then it boils in this broth. And it's my favorite. And any carb though, put a carb. I can't, like, I've never met a carb I didn't like.
Yeah. All carbs good.
All carbs good.
Yeah. Something in the industry you haven't done, but you'd like to.
Gosh, that is a tough one. I haven't thought about that.
Yeah.
Something in the industry I haven't done, but I would like to do.
We're visualizing right now.
I think it's just sharing a stage with some of the heavy hitters in a way that, like, we are literally changing lives.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but I'm going to put it out into the universe.
There you go. One do-over in your life, and I won't take that I wouldn't be who I am right now if I didn't all of those things, but if you had a do-over and you could go back and correct it, what would that be?
One do-over. I would have gone to a different university. So I went to Michigan State. Nothing wrong with that. But I went there out of comfort and fear of leaving home. Right. And I really had wanted to go to American University in Washington, D.C.
Oh, wow.
And so if I had it to do over, I would not be fearful and push myself to get out of my comfort zone earlier.
Yeah, well, and as far as I know, that's still there too. So
go take a class.
Go take a class, damn it. Now, listen, I got one more question, but before I do that and ask you that question, I just want to know, what do people do if they either want to talk to you, number one, about something, or need advice on anything from any of the programs that you do, or want to join PBA? Where do they go and what do they do?
I mean, the best place to start is our website. So it's just probeauty.org. Or our Instagram. You can follow us on Instagram. And if you want to just reach out to me directly, I'm happy to it's Leslie at probeauty.org. I'll put it out there.
That's a difficult one to remember. And it's an L-I-E.
It is. It's Leslie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Leslie E.
Uh-huh.
Leslie E. And last question. If you had one wish for our industry, what would that wish be?
That we would align and come together and stand in the power of what we are, so that the consumers, the others, like, that we have that reputation of being an incredible choice for a profession. Awesome.
Well, Leslie E. I mean, I think the space that we had between the beginning and the end has been very fruitful and very knowledgeable. I just want to thank you so much for being here and taking your time out of your
Thank you.
busy day.
So enjoyable. And some of those rapid fire, I was like, I like to, it's good. I enjoy that.
Listen,
Thank you.
If there's anything that I can ever do for PBA that I'm not doing already, then just call on me and I'm there for you. But I just wanted to say thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Cheers. Thanks again for watching this episode, and if you liked what you heard, remember to smash that like or follow button, depending on your preferred platform, and make sure to share it with anyone you know that might be a fellow Headcase. Headcases is produced by Cut Action Media, with Marjorie Phillips doing the planning parts, Lee Baran on the video bits, and Adrian Taverner mixing the audio jazz.